Hi, it's Friday, 31st of July. It's 3 o'clock. Welcome to the 50th episode of Together Unlocked. We can hardly believe it ourselves, but let's start as usual with some introductions. I'm Ju Gosling, artist and artistic director of Together 2012. We're bringing you this live stream today as part of our Join In From Home programme during the coronavirus crisis. With me in my East London studio today is
Julie Newman. I'm the chair of Together 2012. Happy 50. Hooray.
and of course an artist in her own right. We'll come back for a little bit of audio description, but first we're going to go to the other end of our very long virtual sofa in the West Midlands. As well as introducing our West Midlands hosts, as regular viewers will know, on a Friday we dress up to go out to stay in. So let's have a bit of audio description too and tell us what you're dressing up to go out to do.
Right. Well, hi, folks. Yeah, and happy 50th. Can't believe it. It's just, it doesn't seem like we've only done, that we've done 50 already. So, hi, I'm Robin Surgeonator. I am business director at Together 2012 and also an artist known as Angry Fish. I have got still increasingly long whitey grey hair. I'm wearing clear glasses and my phone has just decided to go off when it's not supposed to. Um, so I do apologise about that. And I am, you know, I'm going with the weather. My shaved looks is Robinson Crusoe, or someone who's lost on a desert island. And I'm wearing, so I'm kind of dressed. I'm dressed in a nice casual grey and white checked shirt. I've spent all morning packing my van with tents and kettles and gas bottles to not go to Cambridge Folk Festival this weekend. And this is what I would wear to hopefully play around the campfire shortly.
I am Josh Surgeonator. I'm one of the hosts of Together TV and a PhD student. And yeah, happy 50th show.
Can you get a bit closer to the mic, Josh?
I am wearing, can you hear me now? Cool. I am wearing a very bright orange, I think it's called International Orange t-shirt that has a blue embroidered polo player on the chest. And I'm wearing a white hat that has the logo and the name of the 2017 European Wheelchair Basketball Championships, which was a swag hat that I got while I was there. And yeah, I'm ready to kind of enjoy the weather this weekend. It's supposed to be glorious. So yeah, I'm ready to just kind of chill in the garden, not go anywhere despite the ending of lockdown in certain places and shielding in certain places. And then yeah, protect my poor freckly nose because it likes to catch the sun from getting a sunburn.
Wonderful. So, in our dressing up to go out to stay in, and we'll come on to talk about lockdown and shielding, but I don't think there would be any reason to change it at the moment. We took the New Zealand idea that you dressed up formally, even though you weren't leaving your house on a Friday, and we decided to stretch it a bit more. So, we go all over the world and to imaginary places as well, dressing up to go out to stay in. In fact, I'm wearing today a large white t-shirt which says in blue choose our NHS. I have a short tenured red corona crop, self-inflicted with the dog's scissors, but very welcome in this heat. I've got black framed glasses, black wrist braces and silver jewelry. I'm again gearing up to stay out in a load of online festivals. We will talk about that later in our usual spot, something for the weekend. And yeah, I think I'll talk about my t shirt a little bit later when we're talking about the official end of shielding, which as shieldies affects all of us. Julie.
You've got a little necklace on as well.
Yes, silver jewelry, but it's a dear little silver necklace with some turquoise beads.
Yes, very, very nice. Goes well, goes well. I'm Julie, by the way. I said it earlier and say it again. You can never say it too many times, I think. I have silver and gold hair, dark rimmed glasses, and a white t shirt, which is multicolored at the top with what looks like drops of paint I'm going back to the enchanted forest to find that unicorn who vomited all over me. But had words with it.
Well, that does make sense. And before we get on to anything else, we wanted to say to everybody, Eid Mubarak. We're very sorry it's not taking place in happier circumstances, but celebrations have already taken place all over Newham. It's going to be a great weekend, and of course, very easily can be accomplished with social distancing. So we're really pleased that everybody's reached such a milestone. And I think for us, as people in the English shielding group, although the Scottish shielding group are sticking to the same rules, officially shielding ends today. Today is our last day of shielding. So we are very proud to have survived 4 months and 50 episodes of the live stream. And here we all still are. And I don't think that was necessarily guaranteed at the beginning when life was much, much scarier. So we were going to talk a little bit about what does this end of shielding mean. I've been doing lots of research this morning because lots of things have been changing this morning, including new announcements at midday. And it does seem that if you're shielding, you shouldn't really change your behaviour too much. There are things you're allowed to do. If anybody was taking too much notice of what they were allowed to do, as opposed to good old British common sense. But rates are rising. They're certainly not half as low as we would have hoped at this point. And at midday, they announced that some of the measures that should have come into play tomorrow, which included, in terms of the arts, socially distanced indoor theatre productions, have now been delayed for at least 2 weeks. They haven't paused the shielding or extended the shielding. And I think that's partly to think about the sort of pressures it puts on people shielding. But I think if you're relying on the free food boxes, which stop this weekend, I would look very carefully into the local voluntary sector options before you think about going to the shops at the moment. And that's assuming that you're not somebody like me who can't do their own shopping in the first place. I think everybody's been quite shocked at this sudden withdrawal of theatres being able to open, but perhaps we shouldn't be too surprised. The people in the northwest who are now being subject to all sorts of local lockdown measures, of course, life has got even more difficult. So for people shielding there, I don't think it's going to make much difference at all. The reason I'm wearing the Choose Our NHS t shirt is I decided when I was thinking about how I was going to behave as somebody in the shielding group was that I wouldn't just think about my own safety and the safety of the people around me. I would also think about the NHS and how expensive I am likely to be if I catch coronavirus and how time consuming I'm likely to be. I'm not a key worker in the sense that I have to go out. I don't have to go and run the buses. I don't have to do the trains. I don't have to do deep cleaning. And it's really important to me that if those people catch coronavirus, they're not waiting behind me in the queue, because I'm somebody that if I get a cold symptom, the moment I sneeze, I know I'm going to be ill for 3 weeks. I can get pneumonia, I can break ribs coughing. Julie gets pleurisy. And yes, I decided that what I was actually going to do was, rather than make judgments about personal safety, I would also think about the NHS. And indeed, my niece, who's a cardiac radiologist at the grand age of 24 and has been working flat out in Portsmouth, so I thought that was one of the ways that I would look at what happened over the next few weeks. How's it looking for you in the West Midlands? What changes are you planning to make now that shielding's ended? Or I should say paused, because they keep using different language. But
Yeah.
while shielding, you could be asked to officially shield again at any moment.
I mean, for us, I'm not sure anything as individually. I mean, as a family, I'm not sure it's going to change very much. I mean, as we talked briefly before, I'm back at work and Emily's back at swimming training. When I say work, I'm talking about swimming coaching. But that is being done in the strictest of regimes. I mean, what the kids, and the coaches have to do to even get in the grounds where the pool is and then into the pool building is more than you have to do to get into the hospital or the doctors. So, nothing is 100% safe. We know that, but at least we know what little we are doing. We're doing our absolute most. I mean, and it's literally is hands washing every so often, sanitized feet, no shoes in the building, temperature checks on the way in. It's as strict as the airport. I think, I mean, what's really weird about the changes in the lockdown things, or in like Manchester and Blackburn and that kind of Halifax, Huddersfield, all those areas, is you can't visit people in their gardens, you can't visit them in the house, but you can still go to restaurants and pubs. I don't see how those two equate at all. If you can't visit somebody in their house or their garden, but you can all go to somewhere where everyone can get it, just doesn't make a lot of sense, really.
I think that's the thing. I mean, because I have the job of risk assessing for the whole organisation, I read and read and read about coronavirus every day, but it's still very confusing. I'm not sure that actually matters for us as people who would not have happy outcomes with COVID. I mean, like you say, there are activities that even before shielding was paused have restarted in such a safe way that of course it's safe to do it. But again, it depends on individual circumstances. I think we've talked quite a lot in the past about the difference between, if you like, being able to get into a car in your own drive and being having to cross the pavement when people are walking past coughing and not wearing masks. So if you're living in a block of flats where you've got to go down all sorts of very, very narrow corridors to get out to something safe, then again, I think just at the moment we've always been clear this is about the long
Well,
term.
I mean, my van broke down yesterday, and thankfully, because Josh is here, I was able to use his car. But I phoned Motability, and they're like, "Well, we'll just get you taxis." And I'm like, "I'm not going to sit in a taxi for 45 minutes to an hour either way to and from training. I have no idea who sat in it, and it doesn't, you can't know that they've deep cleaned the car after every time someone's got in and out of it." Um, but yet Motability, a prime organisation for disabled people, it's just like, well, get a taxi, it's not a problem. It's like, yeah, it is. I'm not
Yeah,
having one.
I think that's something from all of our experience that's really important to stress. If, like us, your vehicles have not been driven for 4 months, it's not enough just to even turn the engine over occasionally, which is what we have been doing. The second or the third time the engine was turned over, then the battery had completely died. And in fact, I think it was only in the last week we've had the RAC out to replace the battery. But what it's made me think is that, like many disabled people who don't or can't afford to use Motability, it's we have old vehicles with low mileage and generally quite reliable, but quite reliable is not enough. So that's something else I'm going to do, is have a full service before we start driving, because we've been technically allowed to go backwards and forwards to Julie's flat for some weeks because we're single households as a support bubble. But in fact, what we've stayed is one household staying here, because again, every trip you take, if you risk breaking down, that's where everything you've been doing goes out the window. But also, like I say, there are people who have to drive to work, like doctors. I don't want to take the RAC away from the NHS, so I come back to, when you're decision making, choose the NHS. They've had a hell of a year. They've got a dreadful time ahead of them. They've got so much backlog to clear. So just bear that in mind too. What do you think about the shielding as a young person, Josh? Because, we're all, if you like, to say politely, older people. I think it's very, very different if you're in your 20s.
I mean, I do miss having a social life, and going to work, but at the moment, I don't want to. As much as I'd like to, go and ring up a couple of mates and let's go and grab a couple of drinks or whatever. I'm just like, yeah, I'd love to, but at the same time, I don't want to go anywhere. I don't want to go out. So I think for the time being, we'll stick with Zoom calls, and just I'm staying in. I know some younger people might kind of struggle with that a little bit more and kind of want to get out, and because they're fit and healthy. But I think, for me and being part of the shielding group, I'm not going anywhere quickly. So
I mean, and as much as I can be an annoying dad, I'm sure you have.
Yeah, I have quite. It's a nice home
you have a family.
situation.
If you're a teenager or someone in their 20s who's living on their own, 4 months of not seeing anybody, it's quite a long.
Yeah,
I can imagine it being a much harder decision.
Yeah, I made the decision just before lockdown kind of was officially announced, because I kind of looked at it and went, "Well, this is coming." To come back from Sheffield, because I'd been in for about a week, kind of not going out, and it was just really difficult. Just I've got an Xbox and a subscription to Netflix and Amazon Prime and Disney and all sorts of things, but just knowing that you can't go out, you can't see anyone, it was tough. And I don't have any kind of underlying mental health conditions in terms of anxiety or anything. So yeah, I imagine if someone does have those kind of things going on and then is stuck by themselves, it's so difficult.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of the things we've had in common from both ends of the sofa is that you and Julie have both left your homes for the duration, and that's typical of a lot of people. And like you say, for so many people on their own, I very much hope that one of the things we have been and will continue to be, because as we said at the start, we're committed to our joining from home program until it's no longer needed. And of course it still is, and of course everybody hoped in March that by now we would be the last people to return to a completely normal life. I think we always knew that wasn't really realistic. And I mean, Julie and I were talking, there are lots of people out there who've having dreadful times. They haven't got money for food, they've lost their jobs, they're cut off because they don't have data. We have digital access, we have food on the table. We're not exactly in Anne Frank's house. And again, I think the generation whose parents went through the war and grew up, really being told every single thing, oh, you're so lucky to have that. But you were, because it was true. So I think our generation have just got that sense that, life can change very quickly and it can get very tough and it can go on for years and years and years. And that 4 months in that context is very little. But I feel like it's been a very long 4 months for us. And I think for anybody watching this show that's been on their own, it's been a very long 4 months indeed. We were looking at some of the things that Together 2012 have achieved in that 4 months. And I'm going to have to remind myself by grabbing a list. But anyway, I thought people might be interested in that. It's a slight departure from our usual format, but we're only 50 once. In early February, as an organisation based in Newham to take forward the Paralympic cultural legacy, we as disabled artists drew up our own coronavirus policy and, like Josh said, could see things coming. So we were able to close our year-round clubs programme of creative daily workshops in a very planned way. Program manager, the artist Alison Marchant, oversaw all that, and everybody went home with bags full of arts materials and things to write poetry, and depending on which clubs they belong to. And we've replenished those with Amazon home deliveries, if anybody's needed them. Most of the 30 or so people who attend our clubs regularly are digitally excluded, so we've had a whole phone-based package of support for them. Noel, our wonderful engagement support worker, has been phoning people every week and assisting with any practical issues and just making sure people understand the health information. And then Alison Marchant has been working with everybody individually on their own creative program to do from home. So that team have been great. They've overcome so many practical and technical challenges. They've adapted to new ways of working, and they haven't taken any sick leave at all. This home-based program on the web, our Join In From Home program, of which the live stream is part, we launched the program on the 10th of March. So again, I think we were quite ahead of the curve, and our first live stream went out on the 30th of March. Our youth program, which was very new, has been completely redesigned as a national online offer. And our youth development worker, the artist Hazel Brill, has launched new Facebook groups and Instagram pages. And she's also running an arts award scheme for young disabled people who are out of school because they're shielding or they're being home educated. We have all of this information and more on the website, and I will show you where to get it. So we've also, as a pop-up organisation putting on disabled-led arts activities, we've allocated about £10,000 worth of resources to artists that we work with, both locally based and national, to give them the equipment they need to get online and to enable them to make work for this live stream. And also our Disability History Month Festival, which we decided back in February would be entirely virtual this year. And that's allowed us to plan right from March onwards. And we will be announcing the bill next week. We've managed to participate in Newham Heritage Month as planned. It was obviously not planned to be a virtual event, but it moved very smoothly over and went very well. We had we launched a Canning Town folk exhibition as an online exhibition instead of a real life exhibition. We created a new website for our Folk in Motion wheelchair dance company, who's another associate company. And Hazel ran a very well attended Zoom workshop. In terms of COVID, if you haven't got the information to hand, make it yourself. We have launched the only non-verbal set of COVID-19 educational resources with the artist Hannah Ensor, and our Charlie and the Sea Monsters project is going great guns as I speak. We've created new resources on our website to help people with inclusive graphic design, and we ran a very popular, surprisingly popular training session this week for artist educators from East London. We've taken a monthly music club, which is usually on the first Friday of each month online, and turned it into a first Thursday Zoom together. And we had as many people last time, I think about 16, 17, as we would in real life. So that is fabulous, and again has been more than partly due to Noel's work. And last, but by no means least, we've been working across the borough and beyond with the public sector and the voluntary sector on a whole range of COVID-related issues, from projects for young people to design face masks, to test and trace materials, focus groups. And we've really been able to use our knowledge of our participants and our audience to feed in and to make things inclusive of disabled people when that wouldn't have happened otherwise. So it's been a huge 4 months. It's usually our pre-production period. We wouldn't go back into producing events till June at the earliest. So yes, it's been a journey, hasn't it? And I think you wanted to comment, Julie.
Absolutely. I'm incredibly proud to be the chair of this organisation, and I wanted to thank our funders, Arts Council England and also the Big Lottery Fund, for their support in the community-based projects that we're running and the core funding. When you think that we've got 4 part-time members of staff and 2 one-day-a-week consultants on our extended sofa, we've accomplished a tremendous amount, and I'm really pleased, particularly because we haven't interrupted the services that we provide. One of the difficulties, as Ju highlighted, is that a lot of our participants are digitally excluded, so they don't have access to the internet and they don't have nice fancy phones. And yet we've been able to maintain a service for all of our regular guys over this, however many weeks it is from the 10th of March, so that everybody has continued to be able to produce the work that they've loved, to continue to create new ways of working, and also to provide themselves with a daily schedule which I've been told in feedback has fundamentally helped their mental health. So I think it's a tremendous achievement, and everybody should really, really be proud of themselves.
Including Julie, of course. And I forgot to say, but we were talking about it on Wednesday, that of course we've also successfully relaunched the Pop-Up Poetry Club on a Wednesday morning as a phone-based group. So there are always different ways, but we've designated the rest of the financial year, well, effectively this financial year, April 2020 to March 2021, as our digital year. We don't see ourselves as being blown off course by COVID. We see ourselves embracing the digital world and working to get our excluded participants online, because one of the things that's become very apparent over the last few weeks is that to participate in the arts in the future, as an audience member or as a participant, you're going to have to do it online. And at the same point, those computers that people used to use all the time in libraries and community centres have got much, much more restricted access. So access to the internet in a public sense is never been more difficult. So we're going to be working with the local voluntary sector on pilot projects around access to devices, access to training, and access to data. We actually do an awful lot already through our Photographers and Filmmakers Club and Music Club to work with technology like recording equipment and cameras. So I know that once they're able to make that leap, which of course is mostly down to resources, I think we'll see people really engaging in a very, very active way. And in the meantime, the artwork that is coming through that people are able to get to us is great and much appreciated. And it's been wonderful to be able to take the poems that Noel's been transcribing and put them straight onto the live stream on a Wednesday. We've been talking away in East London, so I think we should come back to you. How's it been for you? You know, none of this was planned, and I think in about a week we said, right, it's really important to have a live stream. We had a lot of feedback from people saying that things that are written down and in photographs are not enough on their own, that the join in from home program needed a live video element. But yes, usually these projects would be planned over months or years and properly funded. So how's it been?
Well, I'll go quickly. I mean, first of all, just in case anyone hasn't seen it, there is a note on the public on the notice board from Renee Whalen or Wallen, just to say that Motability did refund everybody £50 on their car insurance because nobody was making any claims because no one was driving. And it's true, that's very good. I mean, I was certainly 50 quid out of the blue. I was quite happy to receive. So yes, it was only the issue of taxis. But hey, I mean, I think for us, I mean, I'll come to Josh quickly. I think the fact that we were able to simply just do it, you know, thankfully we had the space at our end, or sort of got the space to do it anyway. You know, so we were in a position to literally open a computer and go. It was fabulous. And you're right, because normally these things, you know, you've got to justify this, feasibility, that, you know, before you're even allowed to think about applying for any money. Whereas this has been able to just run, and funders being able to actually take sensible decisions based on what's happening as opposed to what you might do. So I think that's really, really important. What do you think, Josh? I mean, the whole idea of
I kind of like, I mean, you've all said it, that there was some kind of fumbles at the start, I think, with kind of technology things as we got to grips with it. But, you know, as Ju said a few times, you know, we saw BBC News when it first started, and they were kind of just as unsure as we were. And so if the BBC can't get it right on their first couple of tries, then I think the fact that we've got it running pretty smoothly and nailed down for a while now, it just shows how quickly we kind of learned and adapted to, everyone says, the new normal. And it's almost a joke at this point, isn't it, saying the new normal? But it is. And I think, you know, the fact that we're able to get it up and have it regularly, you know, 3 times a week, and we've kept to it, it's just wonderful. I think it's really good. And I really enjoyed being part of it. Not that it's ending, and it sounds like it was closing, but kind of.
It's a milestone. What we're doing,
Yeah.
marking some milestones. Eid, which is a real milestone this year, 50 episodes, and the fact that officially our shielding is being paused, which is not quite the same as it ending, but
I was going to say that I can't. That it's that for me, it's also been really purposeful. I could have sat in a corner playing my guitar and written umpteen songs. I haven't, but actually, but because this is delivering something that matters. My songwriting matters to me, and we talked about how important it is for artists to do what they need to do. But this is way beyond that. It for us, it just feels like we're having a conversation. But actually, it's so much more than that. It's so much more. It's hoping that our conversation is giving other people friends, for want of anything. Like a good book. You sometimes when a good book ends, it's horrible because you're like, oh, I'm going to miss them. And that's how I see us being. Is it's like we're friends that are here, and yeah, we might talk a load of pants occasionally, but we're still doing it, and other people can join in and listen and just know that it's there, and also, and even that sense of it's 3 o'clock Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So that little bits of tiny degrees of certainty that people can go, yeah, it's 5 to 3 Wednesday. I know what I'm going to do.
Yes, and I think as we know ourselves, we've been very careful to look at anniversaries, weeks, months, because that sense of losing time, is so important if all of your usual routines. And, as Julie was saying, the club's participants who've been going, okay, it's Friday morning. I usually draw and paint on Friday morning, so that's what I'm going to do at home, has been great for just that anchoring. I want to sort of bring this to a close in a minute, but I wanted to agree with what everybody said about the funders. It was been so helpful to have the Arts Council and the lottery at the beginning effectively say, look, everything's going to change. We know that you're going to have to be flexible. We trust you to make the right decisions. You've been through years and years and years of very rigorous processes in order to be funded, and now is the time to just allow you to run with it. And being able, as a result, to support so many other artists and so many disabled people and create more work at a point when disabled artists in particular have been losing work has all been down to that funding. So if you play the National Lottery, thank you so much.
It's fine.
The lottery is giving us. I'd like to put on a short film next about part of our Joining from Home programme. So bear with me while I do that. Together 2012 is running a Join In From Home programme from our website, together2012.org.uk. Click on the link at the top of the page, Join In From Home, to go straight to the main page where you have a wide range of accessible, inclusive creative activities, mostly using things that you would already have at home. At the top of the page and throughout the pages, you will also see videos in British Sign Language to translate the site for deaf people. These videos can also be useful if you have difficulties reading and you simply want to hear more of the content. The Join In From Home programme is based on the activities that we would usually be running in East London. So, for example, we have an arts club which usually operates on a Tuesday with craft-based activities and on a Friday morning for drawing and painting. Here you can join in with the arts club's Hands project and celebrate your uniqueness and membership of the human race. There are full instructions on the linked page here. But essentially, we invite you to draw around your hand on a piece of card. It could be an old cereal packet. Cut the shape out, turn it over, and decorate it with anything you would like to do. It could be paints, crayons, glitter, collage, beads, leaves, anything you can think of. Photograph your hand or hands and send it to us at tv@together2012.org.uk. We'll add it to our video installation and share it on social media. Our music club usually meets on the first Friday of each month. We have an open mic session and we invite everybody to play along with percussion instruments. So here you can learn how to make your own percussion instruments from recycled materials. And you can also join in a percussion workshop from last summer in terms of carnival percussion. So these three instruments are used most often in carnival. We have a shaker and a go-go and a hand drum. So this is how to make a recycled shaker, a recycled go-go, and a recycled hand drum. You can also, if you're technically minded, make your own tactile sound instrument. This does require a few simple electronics, but is a very interesting and exciting project as part of our Vibrafusion ongoing work. You can also listen with Together. We have Spotify playlists created by Robin Surgeonator, also known as our TV presenter Angry Fish, and we also have 2 classical music playlists from Bournemouth Symphony Orchestra, including one that's uniquely suited to people who are feeling very unwell.
We're back.
We are back, and that is part of our Join In From Home programme. You can see the full video, which runs to about 10 minutes and covers all of the activities on our website, and we play you selected chunks. So I'd just like to take this opportunity to show some artwork. Well, this is, if you like, craft work. This is Pamela Hillier, who's a member of our music club and art club. She's been crocheting rainbows and doing all sorts of knitting, partly donating, partly giving baby clothes to new parents. And she sent me this lovely photo of all of these rainbows in the shop window. So just bear with me because it's hot. The computer is not always doing what it should do.
Oh, they're so cute.
Like you can tell where our computer is because there's a picture we both did this.
Doing the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think there's 6 rainbows hanging in the empty shop window of, I think it's the Salvation Army shop and base, but they just look absolutely great. I really wanted to include those on our 50th show, and again, the NHS and the hope of the rainbow is what it's all about. So I'm just going to take that down again. But thank you again, Pamela, and keep sending them in because I'm sure you'll be keeping knitting in the same way that all of us will be staying home, staying creative in order to stay well. So now it is time for our regular feature as something for the weekend. Let's go round and do one each to start with, and start with the West Midlands.
You can go first.
Oh, okay, thanks. Okay. Well, a nice one I found actually, as I'm looking, my eyes darting because it's on a different screen just to be more annoying. When searching for things, and I'm quite excited about this one. I think it might be one that I'll spend even more time looking at. It's called the Yorkshire Festival of Story, and I checked out the website again. It's on the link. I've sent it in, so it will be on the links pages. And it's running from, I think, the 1st to the 24th of August. And it is obviously normally it's a live event. Probably I would have hoped they probably do stuff online. And it's literally the all about lots of storytelling. They've got adult sections, they've got comedy sections, they've got children's sections. A lot of this seems to be, there are some that are backed up with videos and stuff like that. And it just looks really, really good because you could just sit and read, and you could, showing there's short stories and novella or whatever up there as well. Got a whole host of things, except, that you can read, or hopefully maybe use if you've got the right device, it can also speech read to you, or text, whatever it's called. Speech read, that'll do.
Text to speech. Maybe.
Text to speech, thanks. See, I'm so digitally aware. But yeah, no, and Linux Festival. So I really would check that, even if it's only for a bedtime story.
Brilliant. I mean, that does sound great. And for anybody who's new, we have a highlights and links page under our main menu for Together Unlocked TV. We put all of the highlight videos and pictures and all of the links up that we mention in each show. So it's also worth looking through them because not all of them are time sensitive. Josh, what do you recommend first for the weekend?
I've got a whole list of things, and some of them I think are going to be the same ones as Julie's got. So I'm going to try and get them in before she steals them all. So the first one that I'll go for is this weekend is the British Grand Prix. It's at Silverstone. And yeah, I've had a couple of weeks off from racing, so Julie will be enjoying that because we won't have to listen to me and Julie talk about it. But yeah, that will be on. Highlights will be free on Channel 4 Saturday and Sunday night. And yeah, just looking forward to watching a bit of racing in the sun.
Josh, it's
Sorry.
live. It's coming live on.
Is it live on Channel 4?
Live, yes.
Oh joy!
See, I only did half the job. Look, there we go.
Well, of course, as everybody shielding knows, one of the things about not having enough PPE for social care workers still is that you don't really get the same social care, if any. So I've always got plenty to do while Julie's watching the race. Just to add to how wonderful it's going to be to see it live, Julie.
No, I think Josh, you look the part. Actually, when you came on, when I first saw you today, I thought, oh, Josh is going to the races.
I am kind of grandstand ready.
Really, I think that's going to be fun. It's interesting because there's lots of things coming up in the sidelines of this. Perez is testing positive for coronavirus, so it's an opportunity for a new driver. And Nico Hülkenberg is
he's coming back. Yeah,
he's coming back, and he.
Okay, let's move on to the other.
I wanted to say one thing about him. I remember many years ago, he went to visit Great Ormond Street Hospital, and our goddaughter showed us a picture of him with her. And I've got big respect for that man ever since.
Yeah.
Good man, yeah.
Absolutely, and I am sure lots of people will enjoy it. And we do very much in everything we do cater for the fact that disabled people, if you're lucky enough, are not living on their own, and different people in the household like different things. So the first thing I'm going to flag up is the Kendal Calling Festival. And Kendal Calling is apparently a lovely festival up in the north, the kind of thing that I'm sure I would really enjoy because it's not too big. And generally speaking, the smaller the festival, the easier it is to access. Clearly, they can't have a festival this year, so they're literally going to be sitting around a campfire and streaming stuff all weekend. They're encouraging people to think about buying a ticket for next year when obviously, like everybody else, they hope the festival will be running. And although the content is free, what they're doing is encouraging donations, and actually all of the donations are relevant to us. It's the Northwest Air Ambulance, Alder Hey Children's Charity, Guide Dogs, St John's Ambulance, and Hospice at Home. So if anybody watches Kendal Calling and has some money to spare, then that seems like a good way to say thank you. What's your next one, Robin?
Okay, this one. I mean, actually, it's not going to be till Tuesday. But I again, we all love a bit of comedy, or almost all of us, anyway. And actually, that's been kind of a bit harder to get. Certainly, any sense of live comedy. And there is something called Laugh Train Home, as opposed to Last Train Home. And it's running on a Tuesday on Eventbrite, I believe. Again, I've created the link to it. It's part of a bigger website called Design My Evening, which had lots of really expensive stuff on it. But the Laugh Train Home, actually, the tickets range between £3 and £5. But they've got a designated, the website actually makes a statement about recognizing economic, some people's economic situation. Also, there's a number of tickets for key and NHS workers for free within it, and then every Tuesday in August, as far as I could tell, at 9 or starting at 8, but with proper live from 9, will be stand-up comedy.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Josh, what's your next one? Now you've stopped Julie's.
I'll see if I can steal another one of Julie's. Tomorrow, I believe at 10:15 in the evenings. It's a bit of a late one. NASA are live streaming the SpaceX crew coming back from the space station. And I know that Julie and I are both kind of space nerds. And we talked about it a few months and a bit ago, or whenever it was, of the launch and kind of watching them kind of go up. So yeah, I get to watch them come back down again, I guess. It's taken them a while. They must have thrown that rocket quite hard. They are eventually coming back down. And yeah, looking forward to it.
And what time's that?
The live stream starts at 10:15 p.m. UK time, or British summer time.
And is that tonight, tomorrow?
That's tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night.
Yeah.
And is it a splashdown?
I honestly don't know. I think the Julie, you might know. I think the capsule is just parachuted, isn't it? It's not a.
Yeah, I think so. But it's the first time. I mean,
yeah,
it's the first time SpaceX have done it, so it's it's all to be seen, really.
But I remember being as a kid watching the Apollo astronauts coming home, and then actually watching cosmonauts landing on hard ground. But actually being as fascinated with that return as the takeoff.
Yeah.
So that is something for us all to look forward to. And like you say, a huge change. It's the first private enterprise into space. So I will first be going. I seem to be doing festivals. But Brighton Pride would usually be this weekend. I think we talked in June when we were celebrating Pride Month and said that actually Prides take place all summer and a lot of Prides don't take place till August and the beginning of September. What they're doing instead is they're launching a free to view festival called We Are Fabuloso. So it took me a while to work out that this was Brighton Pride and not something completely different. But We Are Fabuloso is going out through the Pride TV network, which is basically a series of live streams around the world. It starts tonight. There's 7 to 10 tonight, 5 to 11 tomorrow, and 8 to 11 on Sunday. I find that kind of odd because they've stuck to the licensing times as if they had to keep quiet for the neighbours. Global Pride, it was 24/7, so it's a little bit early. And again, they're encouraging donations for next year. We used to love Brighton Pride when you could just drive down there and turn up. Unfortunately, once you had to pre-book blue badge parking and pay through the nose, we could no longer go. So I'm particularly pleased to see that's essentially yet another online event that we couldn't have got to in real life anyway. And also with a queer theme this weekend, there's the Mindful Drinking Festival. People who know us may know we have an alcohol-free policy. Lots of people of faith don't drink. Lots of disabled people can't drink, and lots of young people don't drink. So we don't drink. We think it's an access barrier. But there's a real movement out there to help people, if you like, to kind of who perceive themselves as having problems with their drinking or want an environment that isn't ruled by alcohol. And that's the Mindful Drinking Festival. I'm co-chair of Regard, which is the National LGBTQI plus disabled people's organisation. And we often circulate the news of an organisation called Queers Without Beers, a club soda. And they have joined up with the Mindful Drinking Festival to do an entire strand through the whole weekend for LGBTQI plus people. And tonight, that starts off with Lucy Spraggan, who was an X Factor competitor in 2012, has always been quite a heavy drinker, and she is celebrating 1 year sober, never having felt better. So there's all sorts of things, including the opportunity but obviously only virtually, to discover exciting new low and no alcohol brands near you. So they sound like two really fantastic festivals. I'm going to put those up online, and I think that's it from East London, isn't it?
Well, no.
Yes, Judy, because we've got minutes to go.
Oh, okay then.
Well, actually, the only one thing I would add that came from Tracy was to not forget radio. There is so much on the radio all the time, and we talk. A lot of our friends, whatever, don't have access to online. Radio is on 24/7, from spoken radio to religious radio to folk radio to storytelling to classical. They're all out there. So just if you're at a loose end, I mean, it's very, very rare in our house that there's not a radio playing. Usually annoying someone who's watching something else, but hey.
Yeah, and I think that's a challenge for next week, everybody. Let's have some radio stuff. I'm going to exempt myself already simply because I don't find voice very accessible if I can't see a face. But the rest of you can tell us. And of course, there's a distinction between what's being broadcast on the internet and what you can just tune into. But I don't know. Can you get digital radio from the internet on digital radio per se?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Good. Well, like you say, it's not very accessible to me, so I don't know. But the Kendall Festival is very much radio based, so there we did have something on the radio there.
Yeah.
So we're already looking forward to next week, which will be our. Well, it won't be post lockdown because I think for everybody who's living in Scotland, where Wales, shielding doesn't end till the 16th of August. If you've just been locked down in the northwest, or like us, you are just officially pausing your shielding, nothing much is going to change tomorrow, but still, it's a new week because it's our 51st episode on Monday, and we will be looking forward to the next 50. Later in the week, as usual, we will be looking at the Pop Up Poetry Club's poems and everybody else's on Wednesday, along with the Clockwork Paralimpics. Nature Watch with one of the assistance dogs, not necessarily Precious Newman, next week. Friday, of course, we have Dressing Up to Go Out to Stay In and Something for the Weekend. We've also got guests, films, all too much to mention, but we would love to include yours. So if you're drawing, painting, taking photographs, making films, send them in to tv@together2012.org.uk or contact us to come on the show and talk about it in person. In a minute, we are going to attempt to finish. I say attempt because we'll be singing, which is always a bit of a challenge, to our own version.
My little heart.
Yes,
sinks.
Judy's heart's already sinking as she cringes in her chair. But some weeks ago, Robin wrote his own words to I Will Survive, called We Will Survive. On a Friday, we traditionally play out with some live music from Robin or anybody else we can persuade to come on the show. But usually it falls to Robin. So in 2 or 3 minutes, though, don't panic. We are going to attempt to finish the show with We Will Survive. We have put the words up on the website, indeed. I don't think I can actually post on public chat. I think the public can only post to me. But if you're watching on the website, the words are up as Together Anthem in the same sub menu as the highlights and links, so you could always look at them later. Yes, that will be slightly chaotic, but before we do it, let's go around and each have a final word. I think I've just had mine. So, Julie, would you like a final word while Robin is sorting his guitar out?
I don't know what that looks like. Basically.
Your final words of wisdom from the chair, should you choose
well,
to.
Thank you, everybody who's stuck with us over 50 shows. My goodness, that's a marathon, isn't it? Well, more than a marathon. So, really, really pleased for all the support that everybody's given us and continues to give us. I know that not everybody watches when it comes out for various reasons. They might have other things scheduled, but we always appreciate the fact that there's an awful lot of people who do go on to our very own YouTube channel. Who would have thought that we'd have that, and watch us that way? So thank you again.
Yes, I think that's really important. You know, we couldn't do it without everybody else. It's been important to us to create a record, and I think that's been one of the things from the outset, to have our voices as people shielding heard, not to be invisible and unseen, but to put ourselves on the internet to meet up with a family that we now know are hugely better than we did at the beginning. You know, as we've made friends with Josh and Robin, and the wonderful support we've had from Tracy at the back, and Emily when she's able to take time out from her studies to contribute. The last 2 months, we have had wonderful support as well from global real-time captioning, and we cannot end without saying a massive thank you to Julia and Katie, who've been joining us 3 times a week since the beginning of June. We're seeking funding, but we're absolutely committed to continuing to provide that service. Thank you so much, ladies. We could not do it without you. So if we're ready, and I might just grab some lyrics well, trying to scratch across the room, we will all say, have a great weekend. Josh, you'll have to sing whether you go out of the picture or not.
Yeah, you can sing.
I'll be singing out of shot.
Yeah, we'll
No escape, Josh. If I have to do it, you have.
Poor Julie's not keen either, but this is just like our monthly music club.
Exactly.
Okay. So, hi everybody. So this is We Will Survive. First I was afraid, I was petrified, kept thinking I could never live with COVID locked inside. Then I spent so many nights thinking how I could be strong, kicking back with the jag, believing I can carry on. Then we found ways in digital space. We just learned that there are many ways to help communicate. Didn't need to change our outlook, didn't need to find a key. All we need is some hope, 'cause hope can set us free. So now go, secure your doors. Just accept the fact that just for now, no visitors anymore. We're not trying to be mean, not trying to hurt you with goodbyes. We will fight coronavirus, we won't just lay down and die. Oh, now go, we will survive. As long as we stay safe and stay locked down home inside. We've got all our lives to live, we've got all our love to give. We will survive, we will survive. Hey, hey, get your percussion out now. Okay, get ready to come back in. Let's use all the strength we have not to fall apart. Keep trying hard at keeping fit for a healthy heart. You could spend your locked in nights feeling sorry for yourself, or we could brave the isolation and break free from our shells. We will emerge like butterflies do, oh beautiful and flighty, with our lives ahead of you. If you feel like dropping in, I'll politely say please leave. We are saving all our anti-bac to ensure our food's germ-free. So now go, secure your doors. Just accept the fact that just for now, no visitors anymore. We're not trying to be mean, not trying to hurt you with goodbyes. We will fight coronavirus, we won't just lay down and die. Oh, now go, We will survive. As long as we stay safe and stay locked down home inside, we've got all our lives to live. We've got all our love to give. We will survive. We will survive. Oh, now go. We will survive. As long as we stay safe and stay locked down home inside, we've got all our lives to live. We've got all our love to give. We will survive. We will survive. Hey, hey.
Goodbye, everybody.
Have a great weekend. Bye.